My name is Tricia Arcaro Turton, and I'm the owner and head coach of Arcaro Boxing. I managed another boxing gym for about 10 years and then started to see that I had my own vision and decided to go for it. I put in my notice, and it took me about 10 months to get a space and get my gym open. So I hung a heavy bag at Pratt Park under the covered basketball court for those 10 months, and that's really how the gym started. When I was at Pratt Park, I had a vision for what I wanted the gym to be. So what I did was I started a blog, and I started writing in the blog just about my experience as a coach. And at the time I was training Jen Hahn as an elite boxer, and she was working with the aspirations of going to the 2016 Olympics. And so I started writing about that. I used Facebook, and I started an Arcaro Boxing Facebook page, and I started really just friend requesting everybody I possibly could, and just started putting it out there that I was in the park, and if people wanted to train with me, they could. So a few people who I'd known over the years trained with me. I think some took pity on me and did some private training with me. And then just people started noticing me in the park. I'm very community oriented. I always interact with people when I'm out on the streets walking around, and so people started recognizing me in the park more, and a lot of people came through, and I didn't charge a dime to. They trained, hit the heavy bag a little bit, but so I put just a little scratch in my pocket so I could have some food on the table for those 10 months. I started having just an idea that, well, for one, I really needed food on my table. I chose not to get another job, and I just dedicated myself to training Jen. So I just did it full time, and then I started doing classes 3 times a week in the morning at 6 a.m. at the park. And I had about 4 people that would regularly come. And those 4 people kept coming, and then a couple folks that had gotten out of boxing started hitting me up and wanted to compete. And so I started training some competitive boxers out of the park along with Jen. And I just had this idea that if I couldn't sit on my butt and wait for a gym to open, I had to be the gym before it was open. So it was an awful process. I didn't enjoy any of it as far as looking for a space. It's not my forte to live in the business world of looking for spaces, negotiating. Luckily, I had an amazing business partner, investor, who did a lot of that with me and took the lead on that, because I probably would have been in big trouble without it. So Philip really helped out in that regard. We looked at so many spaces. I got a phone call from somebody I had known, and she was a project manager at Capitol Hill Housing, and she said, "I think I have a spot for you." And I walked down here when she told me where it was, and I looked in the gym, and I remember it was the window of the door that's technically 1210 East Jefferson, and I was like, I looked in, I said, "This could be my gym." And I just knew it, but then everything seemed to fall apart constantly, and it didn't seem like it would be possible. We looked at Soda, we looked in so many places, and then suddenly this place came into the radar again, and we became home here at the bottom of Capitol Hill Housing, and the build out was fast. It was finding the place that was the worst. It was pretty stressful. I think I felt pretty depressed. It was a hard thing to go through, but I'm really glad that I just stuck to it, made myself get up every day, and put that heavy bag over the basketball hoop, because it really paid off once I got the space. The space is amazing. The location is amazing. I love being in the Central District, and I love the community. I opened the gym 5 years ago, last October, and yeah, we've just been hitting the ground running ever since. When I was training Jen, we had a strength and conditioning coach, and she kept getting injured doing back squats and deadlifts, and I started wondering, there's got to be another way to train a boxer. There's got to be something else to do. And so I started scouring the internet and YouTube, and I found a guy named Naudi Aguilar, and he had this workout. It was a core workout with a barbell. And I said to Jen, let's try this workout. And so in the workout description, he says, don't do very many of these, just do this many sets, do this many reps, because this is very neurologically taxing. It's going to be very hard. And we thought, we're in shape. We've been working really hard. That's a joke. And so we doubled the amount, and it doubled the days I was out of commission. I was floored. My core felt like it was shredded. I've never felt like that doing anything before in my life. So I was like, this guy's really onto something. This is very different. This matters. So I started doing my best to implement exercises he was putting. I just started following his YouTube stuff, and I started putting her through that kind of training. And I found out that he was moving his headquarters to Seattle, so I reached out to him quickly, and I quickly immersed myself in their presence and opened up my gym to them and their staff. And so they came up and sparred a lot. We did a lot of things back and forth. That we traded work. I taught them boxing, and Naudi himself had boxed before, so he knew a lot about it. And he is just an amazing talent with body mechanics and understanding the way movement happens and generating force and power. And so I drank the Kool-Aid right away. I decided that this was the way I was going to train my fighters. If they don't want to train this way, then they don't want me as a coach. So I'm sticking to it. It's myofascial transmission, force transmission. It's based upon walking mechanics, running mechanics, throwing mechanics, and it's really the way the body is oriented to develop. And so to me, I found no better strength and conditioning training anywhere. So I do that not only for my fighters, but people who have scoliosis, people who have a lot of pain. It's an incredible arena and avenue to work with folks to get them out of pain and functioning much better again. I'm going to go to the 3rd semester of training in the course in June. Sadly, to me, he moved to Kauai. I wish they were still here. It was nice when they were down the street, kind of, but I'm going to go to Kauai in June. I'm going to be there for 2 weeks and immerse myself in the 3rd semester and try to get more understanding of the way functional patterns works and become a better practitioner myself. People can, for functional pattern stuff, we do some of the movements we're trying to establish more. It takes a lot of technique and work, so we're trying to establish the fundamentals more of movement, and then we incorporate some of the movements, at least Omar and myself, because we're both, he's a human foundations practitioner, and I'm a human biomechanics specialist practitioner. So he's taken the first class, and I've taken 3 already, going for my 4th. So we institute some of the movements. I trained Cassidy, one of my coaches, with FP, and so she has some knowledge of what she's learned to implement. And then Kevin, I trained a little bit, and then Alan, my new coach, I'm starting to work with him a little bit, but mainly Omar and I you'll see those kind of movements in our classes. And then private training wise, we absolutely do it. And we take functional patterns and we work on their gait, and we also work on their punching. And so it's functional patterns and boxing. I'm a boxing gym primarily, and I use functional patterns as strength and conditioning and for pain and health reasons. The amount of sessions vary for folks. For our first session, we're going to work on doing myofascial release so that they can do it themselves. I don't want to get paid to do myofascial release on people when they can do it themselves. My skill is in applying the corrective exercises that I've learned, using critical thinking to get to the root of maybe what their pain is, what might be the best avenue to go about correcting the dysfunction that they have. So it could take, it's not like, it's an ongoing project. They can learn more about how to do themselves, a lot more activities and movements that help contribute to their healing or their increased efficiency in movement. Because I know it's expensive to do one-on-ones all the time. So it can be a mix. It could take 3 sessions. I mean, people usually feel immediate release of pain and relief from myofascial release. That doesn't correct the problem, but it allows us to correct the problem. So immediately they'll feel pain relief. When I start working with them on their posture, on trying to find their glutes first, or finding their core more, meaning like their transverse abdominis and so obliques, things like that, they will immediately start feeling better, springier, more connection in their body in a session or two. For stuff to really stick, it just depends on how bad the person's dysfunctions are. Jen's going to also go to the Human Foundation's course, the first class in Denver in April. She's still had back troubles, and she's getting very motivated to fix it herself. So, you know, for her, it's taken a few sessions to get a little bit better, and then she hasn't been consistent. So the more consistent you are, the better, and the more the results will stick. The future of the gym, I can't say is I have a definite picture. I have a vision, and the vision is that we will stay a community space. My idea has always been that my income will come from outside the walls. I've already started implementing that by, I go to Alaska and I do functional patterns and boxing training with the Copper River Native Association in Glen Allen, Alaska. So I like doing that. I don't know how long that'll last, but I sure love it. I want Omar and I want Kevin and I want Alan to be able to have full-time jobs, making full-time money via my gym. That's my definite goal that I want the most of. How's it going? Hey, you're fine. Yeah. My future goal is for the three of them to be able to make full-time money if they want to stay with the gym. You know, if Omar wanted to leave and go start a gym somewhere or go do something different, I'd absolutely support him. Same thing with Kevin or Alan. Cassidy is going to PT school, so she's going to move on. And Jen's main trade is mental health counseling, and she does boxing therapy. The sky's the limit. I know it's a roundabout way to say I don't know what the future is. I know that we'll stay here in the central area. I think we'll stay in this space. I don't want that much bigger of a space, really. I don't have a desire to have 40 people in class. I'm not in this to make a ton of money. I want to pay my bills. I want to create jobs. And I want to keep it a community-run gym, one that can afford to allow people that can't pay to come and still pay the bills. I see potential of a second gym in Hillman City or the South End somewhere. Right now we teach 3 classes a week at Renew Physical Therapy, and I really like it. I think the community needs a gym like ours there. Kevin's from the South End. I'd love to have a space for him just to run. I'd like to extend opportunity for those guys to become part owners in the gym as well. I'm not in this for selfish reasons. It has my mom's last name on it just because I really wanted to honor my Italian heritage and all the hard work that comes from the Italian side of my family. But mainly, I just want this to be a gym where folks can do work on themselves, hold themselves accountable, and contribute something much better back to the community. I may or may not stay within these walls. I'm open to whatever comes about. I feel very passionate about doing functional patterns in boxing. I feel very passionate about being of service to people. I want to keep on doing the healing work I do through functional patterns and boxing. And ideally, I'd love to have a competitive boxer that I can see all the way through. I've had a bunch, and then they hit a certain point and stop. And I'd like to get somebody to go through further and see what we can accomplish together with FP and with their competitive boxing.
Awesome. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, dude, thank you.